I just took the books and I was reading,
When we
Java
coded on
programming.
paper, right? Do you remember when we wrote code on paper? I wonder
Yeah,
how we
I
were
know.
debugging that and all that, but we did it somehow.
Really, really crazy to be honest, because like you've said, right? We write the code on paper. Later on, I mean, at the beginning, I didn't even write the code. I was just reading. I didn't even know what I was reading. Right? I was just reading and reading. Later on, we started to write the code in papers and started to run it on other people's computers. But as of then, that was when people started to call me. I don't know. Maybe you noticed my nickname was Java, and that's why
Oh,
my
I did. I saw that
yeah,
in some places. Okay,
yeah,
that's
it was
interesting.
nicknamed Java because then when everybody see me with the book Java, and that's how everybody just started to call me Java, and then my nickname became Java.
That's
Later,
interesting. That's very
my
interesting.
Java, and that was how I started to be honest. And I was just learning programming, and then moved to. So I mean, I never had those kind of those laptops or computers of then, but yeah, I just had those kind of how do I call it, a mentorship or someone that
Yeah.
just say, oh, this is interesting, have a look at it, and then I just fell in love, and that was how I started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. As much as you might think the story is different, it's very similar. Like, we didn't have access to those, I think. And
Mhm.
then you said something which I have very similar experience because one of my older brothers was studying like a, long distance, like computer programming or whatever. And I remember he was learning, it was like COBOL or something. And, we were just like, I would just tag on and watch him do whatever he's doing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is. But I remember writing like there was something he was doing. I remember writing an echo statement, like like in a command line, and said echo and then my name, and I was like, oh, this is amazing, this is where I belong, like I need to do this. So yeah, thank you for that insight. That's actually very good story to hear. Now I want to dive into consulting since you're mostly in consulting. Like, what do you consider, for because different people have different definitions of what they see as cybersecurity consultant. What would you say from your perspective, having done this for a while, what would you consider a cybersecurity consultant?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not that. Even though I've been in consulting for some time, right? I think the interesting thing that I found about consulting is actually the amount of importance that we place on value driven environment, right? All the time, what you hear all the time is how can you add value to the clients? How can you add value to the clients? And I think that's one thing I've learned to understand working with different clients over the years and just try to, so sometimes they might say, oh, this is XYZ that you are asked to do here, right? But apart from that, you have to think based on value, right? Because sometimes the white and black is so clear that, oh, this is XYZ that we have to do, but you're thinking on how can you make impact within this space? How can you add value within this space? And I think one other thing that also been very, very interesting to me in consulting is the kind of people that you get to work with. I mean, a lot of times you meet quite an amazing set of people that have the same kind of mindset. I think it's a kind of a filter, that just brought us in to the space and then keep us together in that space. I was discussing with a colleague of mine, just like a few weeks ago, and he was saying that, oh, he is thinking of, oh, can we do so we're actually building, we are writing some detection within the web application firewall, and bot detection. And he was thinking of, how can we create a testing lab that we can use so that you don't have to wait for the logs to come in, that you could just test exactly what you've deployed, immediately. And, that he has to look at, if he can just build like a testing suite. And I think that was really, really interesting. And he said something, and he said something that actually was, that I found very interesting. He said, I'm just thinking of, something we can do for the client that, no matter what, they'll keep thinking about us, even if we are not on this project
Once you're gone. That's
anymore.
a good segue into my next question, which is, how do you know, in terms of how clients translate the value that you provide, right? I know it may be different from different client. Like, how do you know, okay, you leave this engagement and you're like, yep, we're satisfied with the results, the client is satisfied with the results, and there's going to be an ongoing partnership.
I mean, it's all. I think this is something that you have to define when you are on such a project, right? Because if you are working with a team, you know what are the bottlenecks, you know what are the challenges, you know what are the things that they're actually struggling with, and that's when you start to look at how you can help them to solve it. For example, a case whereby I'm talking about my colleague talking about, oh, how can we build a test suite for them so that we can test immediately. So this is what we do.